I'm not able to hear anyone. Sai, Kiran, Vishnu, am I audible to you guys? Please let me know if I'm audible to you or not. So I'm not able to hear anyone. So before we go to start, I just want to check on a mic so that I can understand if I'm able to, no, if you guys are able to hear me. I'm not able to hear anyone. Is it from my side or is it from your side? Hello. Not able to hear. I don't understand why. I'm not able to hear anyone.
Hi, hello.
Okay, I guess everyone is able to hear. Well, let's start with the session. So, to now, on the first day, what we're going to start is the variable. Okay, let me share my screen. We'll have let's start the session. So, what is variable, right? Let's start with what is variable, right? So, we have done with this part. What is print function, right? So, we are done with the print function. Yes, yes or no? And we also done. I did explain you what is the Python, right? It's an interpreter language. And what is the difference between Python and C and C Java, right? Indian programming language. We are done with this part. Yes or no? Okay, guys, please, I want some response from you. If you no response in the morning and there was a session, it doesn't give you energy to the trainer as well. And likewise. Okay, let's start on a new page, right? Let me rename it. I hope you are able to see my screen. Let's start. Let me rename it. Last because the extension is IP and viewer. So I told you right what is the print function. So what it is used for, it is used to print. So whatever you write into it, right? What it does is that it prints it. If you click on play button or you click on control enter, it will play it and it will show us now, right? It is trying to connect with the kernel. On right hand side, you see my kernel as cursor. See, now this is what I have done. In the same way, if I want to print a number, if I want to print a number, so I'll just type on print a number and see. What other do is that it will just print the number. This is the functionality of a print function. What it does is it prints to the things that are been that is there inside the parentheses, right? You know, the parentheses, whatever is there inside the parentheses, it will print that content, those contents, right? So here it was hello world and here it was 20. So it did print that, those things. Now we're going to start with the very first topic, that is the variable. So what do you mean? What you are able to understand through the variable? What does variable mean? Can anyone explain me? So variable, let me show you my PPT Windows. Let me go to it. So variable, I will explain you. Let me show my PPT over here so that you will be able to understand. So what is a variable, right? So Python variables are containers for storing the data value. So what are the variables? Variables are the containers for storing the data value. For like example, you can say car is equal to BMW, right? So then in the real scenario, I'll try to explain you, right? You stay at some place, right? You stay at some place at your home, right? So that home has an address, right? That has an address. So whatever, suppose you try to order something from Amazon. So what it does is that it gets delivered on the address that you have entered during the login page, right? Or if there's a post that has to be there at your place. So what you provide is the address. Now, suppose you are there, right? What you have your own identity is your name. So, someone wants to identify you, like your Vishnu or Visakiran. What the people do is that they call you by the name. So, that is a naming, that is a variable for you to identify, to call you. The same way, variable is what? It's a container to store a value. So, whatever you want to say. So, what on the right hand side, if you look at this on the right hand side, the BMW part, those on the right hand side are called as values. On the one on the left hand side are called as a variable. Whenever I want to assign some values to be limited a value, right? So what I'll do is that I'll use a variable. The best use of variable is that. So now look at this part, the coding. Now suppose I want to use this 20. I want to use this 20 every time, everybody make this entire software or this entire coding. So what I need to do is that every time I have to write this 20. Why? Because I have not stored it somewhere. If I want to use this very 20 value, what I need to do is that I need to use I need to type it everywhere where I want. But what if I have this 20 stored somewhere, right? And this 20 stored somewhere. Now, suppose I use a variable called e is equal to 20. So what will happen is that if I want to use this value 20, on the right hand side is called a value, on the left hand side is called a variable. So what I'll do is that whenever I want to use this value 20, I'll just call with the variable. I'll just call the variable. So when I call the variable, what will happen is that automatically this variable will call this value. You getting my point? This is called an object reference. From the PPT will be very much clear. So what are Python variables are containers for storing the data value. And also this is a single a variable. This is a variable which stores a single value. Even if you can want to assign multiple variables to multiple values, you can write this. You're going to do it in a programming, but just trying to explain you in this difficult part. What is variable and what is value? Right? This is a single variable with a single value, and this is a multiple variable with a multiple value. Look at this. And one more thing, when you create a variable in a Python, when you create a variable in a Python, the value, the memory location of a value is being created, not about the variable. Okay, what is the difference? I'll explain you. Look at this PPT first. So what is this? A is a variable and it holds the value called 50. Clear? Like this way. I've written over here. So A it holds the value 50. When I click when I call this A, what it shows me is the 50. That is what it is trying to show. So suppose if I have one more variable called as a B. Look at here. Now I have one more variable called as B and that also has the value called 50. What it is trying to show is that it is trying to point that 50 is the container. For example, I'll explain you. There's one more variable called B, and the value is 50, right? Let me call. So what will be the 50? Let's see. Look at A and look at B. Let me call to here. We call here A. See, what is this? 50. Now I'll call one more code B. B. Look at this 50. I'll tell you to explain it to the same, and it will be very much clear for you. What I'm trying to tell you is that see, when you try to create A, right, this is a container. Python is a very container, Python variable is a container that stores the values, right? This is a memory location. This is a memory that which holds the value called as 50, right? Which holds the value called as 50. So what we are trying to do is that we are trying to assign a variable called A. Now suppose in the real example, this A is you and you are staying at this 50 address. This is your address. So in Python, what happens is that when you create a 50 value, the address of this 50 is being created. What is created? The address of value is created, not the address of the variable. In C or in Java, what happens is that C plus plus Java, the address of a variable is created. Address of a variable is created. That means what? A is going to be very different from the rest of the variables you create. Now suppose as I see it, if I look at the PPT, now you create a variable with the same value 50. Same value 50. So what is going to happen is that the Python doesn't create any new memory location. So now this is what happens is that on your laptop, there's only one space occupied for 50 numbers. It will not create one more subspace, right? You know that every character consists of 2 bytes. So it will not create a 2 byte memory. It will not create a 2 byte memory and it will store again 50. It will not store 50 and it will not have a reference called as B. Okay, this will not be created in the Python. But if you look at the C and Java, this will be created when A is equal to 50 and B is equal to 50, this also will be created. So when it's like this is 2 byte memory and this is 2 byte memory. So imagine you're trying to create a garbage value in C or Java. You're creating an extra space. Whereas in Python, look at this. Now suppose I have one more variable called as a C and which has the value called 50. So what is going to do is that it is going to use the same location. It is going to use the same value. So I don't want to create, it will not create a new memory. So imagine it is not using the garbage value, it is using the same memory address. So isn't it for to save you a lot of memory as well. And also it is good for during the runtime because if it's going to use the same memory address, it doesn't have to find for any other location. That is the difference between Python and the rest of the language that when you create a value and if the value is similar to other variables as well, it's a reference to the same container. And what is a variable? A variable is a container that is used to store a value. And in Python, the location, the address of a value is created, not of the variable. Clear? You getting me what I'm trying to say is that once again I'll tell you Python variables are container for storing the data values. Okay. Look at this. There is a variable and there is an object, right? In the same way, this way. So on the right hand side, there's a value, and you're trying to assign it to this variable. So what happens is that now in A, you are storing 50. So wherever you try to call this A variable, see, look at this. I'm trying to code in this cell, and I'm trying to call it in this cell. So it is still showing an output. If I call this output in somewhere else, this will again it will show me 50. So that means what? When you use a variable, no matter wherever you use this variable, it shows the object, that is called the value that you have stored or assigned to this variable. That is the best part. So if I want to use 50, so I don't have to write the 50. For example, I'm trying to tell you, because you're going to write certain code over here. So whatever you're trying to write a code, you don't want to write that code again and again. You what will do is that you will just call the variable, whatever you have, you assign the variable to that value. Clear? And the same way, one more thing I was telling you that if you are trying to create one more variable with the same value, so Python will not create a different containers to store the same value. It will use the same stored container and it will use that variable as a reference. Clear? And now, suppose if there's a different variable, so there's a very same variable with a different value. Now see, 50 is different and 800 is different. So now what happens is that now we will create a separate memory address for the 100. Because see, earlier 50 is the value, right, for A and B. So that is why it is using the same reference. These are the references. A and B are references that are pointing towards the same object. But now here at this slide, you can look at that. A holds a different value and B holds a different value. Definitely, the location, the address, the space that is going to be occupied for 100 is going to be different. Clear? Not this way. Now, suppose here B is equal to 100. B is equal to 100. Definitely, when I will not run over here, I'll not run over here. I'll run over here and show. Now, look at this. A is equal to 50 and B is equal to 100. Look at this. A is equal to 50. Now, B is equal to B. Different. Clear? What if now what I'm trying to tell you is that now this address is going to be different. Okay. Now we have to depend on this holds are different value. So this is what it is going to show. So rules for Python variables, this is going to be done later on. So I just want to know from here, from you, that are you clear what I'm trying to tell you from here? Is it clear for everyone? What is variable? So what is variable? Variables are used to store the values that are required for the coding. Now if you look at this one function called as a ID. There's one function called as an ID. If you check now, look, print function, print A. What can anyone tell me? If I use print A, what will be the output? As I told you in the beginning, if I use print function, and if I try to write anything into print, it will display the output that has been written into parentheses. And can you tell me what if I write print A, right? In this way, if I write print A, what will it will generate? What will be the output of it? Can anyone tell me what will be the output of print A? Anyone in the class? Yes,
I guess
is
it will
anyone there
print
in the class?
50.
Yeah, it will print the output 50. So as I said, whatever you try to pass into the print, it will create an output. Now I was trying to tell you this part. So you look at this part. First, look at this part. If A and B are same, right, it is pointing at 50. Now what it is that we assign the value 52 variable. Definitely, when I click on this play button, right, it is connecting. So look at this. It is connecting with the kernel, right? See, look at this, RAM and this. That means what? Whatever you're trying to do this operation, it has to be saved somewhere. Right? It has to be saved somewhere. So where somewhere means what? Definitely into the hard disk, right? Onto the server or into the database. So now if it's going to save on database, it's going to occupy some amount of a space. Now you could look at the check and you see that function called as an ID. ID. So if you look at ID, now look, see, now what it has done is that it has shown me the memory address, the same way which you have your own home address, right? Where you want to get your things delivered. Same way, now this 50 is stored at this location. Okay, this is the memory address that where 50 is been stored. Now, if I use this b is equal to 50, earlier example, right? This example, see 50. Now you see, now if I use the same ID function, and if I print, you look at it, see, the number over here is the same as the number here. That means what? I'm to tell you, try to tell you from the paint is that, let me clear it once more, I'll use the new one. From the paint, that is what I'm trying to tell you now. Now, what happened is that the address has been created. Now, see, when I assign the value is equal to 50, now this in the hard disk, right, or in the database, this address has been created, right? This space has been occupied, and which is assigned to the value called as 50, right? Which is the value called as 50. And the reference to it is A, right? The reference to it is A. Now I again created a variable called v, right? Which is a variable called v, and which holds the value 50. So now what it is doing is that already 50 is there on the database. So what is it doing is that it's just creating pointer, which is a right pointer that refers to the 50. It is not creating a new 50 value, just like in C or Java. Again, it is not trying to occupy some space and trying to store 50. It is not trying to store 50 this way, and this is using the pointer as b. Now see, this for just for 150 value, it is going to occupy 2 bytes. It is going to occupy 2 bytes. When you're trying to write a code, imagine there is a line of 10,000 codes or 15,000 codes, 20,000 codes. Imagine then how much space it will require. First, it will require a lot of space, huge amount of space. Second, it will take a lot of time to run the program. Why? Because it has to go to the 50 for A variable, for B this variable, this C has 50 again, it will go to that variable. So it has to go through this 10,000 line of a code, right, before you generate an output. Getting my point? So that is going to consume a lot of time. But if A and B are trying to fetch a point at the same database, so definitely it is going to reduce the time consuming. It is going to require less amount of time. It is going to get. It is not going to consume a lot of time. So that is the best thing the Python has given. So look at this is what I'm trying to show you through the code, and the function is called as ID. So look at this output. See, E is also holding 50, B is also holding 50. Look at the address. See, 1144004488. Look at the end as well. Oh, there's some problem. Did I run it? How can it be different? 9952 print ID. Let me run it again. It has to be saved. It will not create an output which is different. Yeah. Maybe previously it was 100, right? Previously it was 100. So that is why it has created different locations. So look at that. 9952. 9952. Address of location is same. This is what I was trying to tell you from this thing. That it will create a only one address. That is what it is going to save on the same address location. So this one. This one. It will not create a different memory address. And just if you look at this thing, now this one, in the same way, if I try to write code, now let's change the value of b, right? Instead of 50, write 100, right? Let me run it. Now what is going to happen is that, look at the address of A and B. Now address of A is 552, 9952, right? And now look at ID B. Now it's going to change. Okay. It's 9952 and this is 1552. Now what happened is that from this diagram I'll tell you. Now what happened is that for A, now 50 has been created. 50 has been created. Now this is stored at E, that E is the reference and it has been created two bytes. 50 is there. Now for B, there's a separate memory allocation for 100 value. Because 100 is different, right? 50 is different and 100 is different. Now this is B. This is B. This is B. You get my point. Now, if I use one more variable called as a C, now suppose if I use this as a variable C, C is equal to, instead of writing 100, I'll write B. Right. Now, what happens is that B has a value called 100. If I run, now if I use this variable called C, first check what will be the output of C, C will be 100. Right. Now, if I use ID function, can anyone tell me what will be the address of C before I can run? Can anyone tell me what will be the address of C? Will it create a new address? Will it create a new address, or it will use the same address, or will it create use the same address of B? What will happen? Will it create a new space on the database or data hard disk, or it will use the same address of B? See, look at here, C is equal to B, right? So now you tell me, if I am trying to use the C variable, right, it has given me output of B. So will it also use the same memory address of B, yes or no? It will use. It will use. Why? Because I told you in this PPT, look at this PPT, right? I told you, if the value is same, it is going to just point at the variable are going to be as a reference. Only and only if the value is different, then only different memory address is going to be created. Right? It is going to use the same address. Now look at this. Now so see 1552, 21152. Look at 21152. Why? Because C is equal to B and what is B? B is equal to 100. Clear? Till here? Yes? Is everyone clear?
Yes, I just want to know what is the benefit of this idea. Means, how do we use it? Is it just to identify the variables from the database or something?
Yeah, it is used. The use is that if you write at the same time when you are trying to have a house, right? You have your own address, right? When you have your own address, you fill your own address to the credentials so that you get the things delivered at your address. If you are not having an address, so how will Amazon identify that where you the product has to be delivered? You getting my point? That is the function. So you need to understand what I'm trying to tell you is that from this coding is that when you're it's going to occupy less amount of a space because you're not going to have this one line or two line of coding. If you're trying to build the software, like suppose you're trying to build a food application for Zomato, so Zomato cannot be built with the just 100 line of a code. You have to write 1 lakh around lakh code of line of a code. So imagine if you're writing a 1 lakh of a code, first thing is that you need a database. You need the space where you can save the data. Right. Second thing is that it's a functionality that when you're trying to run a code, it should run in a such a manner that as soon as you run a code, within 2 seconds, it should create an output. Imagine you're using an application called Zomato, right, which is a food delivering application, or Uber Eats, and you book your order, and to book that order, it is going to take 5 minutes. So when you book your order from the Uber Eats or Zomato for the next time, you'll definitely not. Why? Because you know that whenever I try to book an order or book the order for food, so what it does is that it is taking 5 minutes every time. So definitely everyone human wants to things to be very quick. That is what I'm trying to tell you is that if you are trying to point your runs to the same value, so definitely it is going to reduce the time complexity and your code has to be very good. You get my point? ID function, through the ID function, what I'm trying to present you is that with ID function, you'll be able to see that it is not creating a different space in the hard disk. Definitely, if you're going to consume that, you're going to consume a lot of space in your hard disk or on your server on a database. So you're not see, your company not the only working on only one application, right? It will not buy a separate database for every separate for no for every separate software they're building. They'll just use one database and just some amount of space will be given to you. But that is the thing. Second point, it is trying to reduce the space complexity as well. Right? An ID function is yeah, I will use this ID function to show you that see this A is at different location and B is at different location, but if you assign the same variable, it will not create a separate space. That is the thing that I wanted to tell you. To this variable. Clear? Is it clear now?
Yes, it's clear.
Yeah. And I did just to tell you that it's just an address to show you that does it create a separate value or not. That is the only function. Okay. They're trying to learn a variable, but I'm trying to tell you this through the PPT that it doesn't create a separate space. If it's going to create a separate space, then I'll tell you. When you come onto the real project, when you're trying to do in the software industry, so you'll be able to say that it requires a huge coding and it requires a huge space. So you cannot buy a separate server and database everything for just one software. Database will be very common. Only the some amount of space will be given to you, right? It's like suppose you're using Gmail, right? I'm also using Gmail. You're also using Gmail. Do you think that Google is trying to buy separate Gmail server for you and separate server for me? No, it has the same amount of a database, right? And it is giving 15 GB to me, and it is giving 15 GB to you. Yes or no? For the Gmail, right? This is the thing. They will not buy a separate server for me and it will give 15 GB to Sangram, it will not give 15 GB to Vishnu. They will just buy one sort of 100 GB of server and it will give 15 GB to you, it will give 15 GB to me, it will give 15 GB to Psyche Answer and everyone. That is what within that space only you need to fit the every single thing. Okay, with variable, this is what thing. So let's see how to write a variable now. The rules to write a variable, right? Let's see how to write. Let me present the PPT. This is what we were doing. Last is the rules for Python variable. So I told you on the first day of the class in the previous session that there is a eight, step eight. The what is step eight? Step 8 is a rule of book. What is it? It is a rule book where you need to understand that how do you write the Python code, right? It's the same thing when you're trying to ride a bike or you're trying to drive a vehicle. You see a red signal, you stop. You see a green signal, you go. When you want to take a right side, you turn on your right indicator, you pull the right hand out, right? So that is the rules that are defined for the driving purpose. Same way when you're trying to define Python, what are the rules? So first rule is that a variable must start with a letter or an underscore. I'll try to explain to it programmatically, but let's go through it. A variable name must start with a letter or an underscore character. Second, a variable name cannot start with a number. That means what? When you are trying to define a variable, the starting alphabet cannot be a number. Third, a variable name can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscores. What I'm trying to tell you is that so whenever you're trying to use a variable, it can contain only alphanumeric characters and underscore. That is A to Z in the small case or upper case and 0 to 9 and only underscore. So no other symbols, right? At the rate or hashtag or dollar symbol that are not allowed. Fourth, what happened? Okay. Variable names are case sensitive. What is in by case sensitive? Lowercase and uppercase. Now look at the example that has been there. That is, I have written in the parentheses. So look at date and date. So DATE, that is all in the small case, that is different from the second one, that is DATE. So if I try to write some date with a small case and then I'm writing the second variable, that is date, where D is capital, this first letter was word was variable is going to be different from the second variable. So variable is also a case sensitive. And there are several techniques to write the multi-body variables. There are three techniques. One is camel case, one is pastel, and then the snake case. So one by one, let me write it and show it to you. That what I'm trying to do is that whenever you're trying to define a variable, right? So whenever you're trying to define a variable, how do you define a variable? That you always start with a number. Sorry, we always start with a letter. आवाज क्यों नहीं करनी? A is equal to 20. A is equal to 20. So this means what? First rule is that you always start your variable with a letter. So this is what first thing. A is equal to 20. Now if I want to call this variable, what I'll do is that I'll find you. See, never start this way. Let me present it over here and then I'll show it to you. Variable must start with a letter or an underscore letter. Okay, underscore will see. The variable cannot start with a number. So now you suppose you're trying to write a variable in such a way. So I'm trying to write a variable this way. 1 is equal to 20. So already in the suggestion it is showing me an error. Already it is showing me an error that you cannot use the variable with a number. But if I want to use a variable number, so what I can do is that I can use this way. I can have a word alphabet in the beginning and then a number at the end. Now see if I use this A1, that is okay. This is how you define a variable. A is equal to 20 is okay or A1 is also okay. Either you can use this A over here or you can use an A1 over here. What if we cannot use a number at the beginning? It will already show me an error. It will already show me an error. Either you can use A1. Is that third is you can always start the thing with an underscore. You can start with an underscore. Suppose I want to use A, B, C is equal to 10. Right? See, that is okay. If I run underscore A, B, C, it will generate an output. So variable third thing is that when you are trying to create an variable, you should always start with an underscore. That is okay. If I use any other symbol, if I use any other symbol, now suppose at the rate A, B, C is equal to 10. It is showing me an error. It is already showing me an error that you cannot use an at the rate. Now suppose if I use any other symbol instead of at the rate, hashtag. See what happens with the hashtag immediately. Hashtag is used to comment, right? So hashtag is definitely out of league. Why? Because you cannot use hashtag. Hashtag directly comment the sentence what you're writing, right? And add direct cannot be used. Why it is showing an error. Hashtag directly creates a comment. If I use another symbol called as a dollar, it is showing an error. That means what? You cannot use any other symbol apart from your underscore. Even if I try to run it, it will show me an error. See, syntax error. Get your point? So this is the naming convention. And if I want to use multiple underscore, you can use it. You can use it. A B C D A B C number. Not a problem. If I try to run it, A B C number, it's okay. It will create me an output 10. So first thing first, what is the variable? A variable must start with a letter or an underscore letter character. See, it has started with a letter, that is A, B, C, D is the letter, H is Z, 26 alphabet, or here also we start with a letter, or we can start with an underscore. So we have trying to fit it within the Python variable coding, right? This is a rule. Second, a variable cannot start with a number. We try to check it. So, right, suppose here I try to write 1 over here. So, see, it's measuring an error. But you can use a number followed by a letter. That is okay. Right? So, yes, we try to fit it with the second variable as well. A variable can have an alphanumeric characters and underscore. Alphanumeric means what? See, A and 1 is okay. This is a letter and this is number. That is called an alphanumeric thing. Right? So, we can use it with a combination. And if I want to use the underscore special character as well. Only special character is allowed, that is underscore. So you can use at the beginning, you can use at the middle, or you can use at the end. How many times no matter, right? But you cannot use any other special symbols apart from your underscore. Okay. Look, if I run the code, so it will create an output underscore a underscore one and underscore. Now see, if I run it, the output will be 20. Clear? So third condition also has been satisfied. Fourth, fourth is variables names are case sensitive, right? What is case sensitive? I'll explain. Now look at this. Look at this. I write first name. First name is equal to Alex. If I write first name is equal to Alex. First, and here I'll write first name is equal to Bob. Let's run it and let's call the name see. First name. If I run it, what will be the output? The output will be Alex. See, first name is Alex. Both the words are same. First name, first name. But look at it. First name, this F is small and this F is in capital letter. This and this is different. It is a case sensitive. Now if I use, right, now if I use FI, RST and AME, and now I try to run the code, I'll get an output called Bob. So that is what it means that variables are case sensitive. So you need to understand the naming convention as well. To have this F and this F is different. No matter the rest of the numbers are same. The alphabets are same. Getting my point? So how do we define a variable whenever you're trying to define a variable? That this is the way that you define a variable. Clear? Till here? How do we define a variable? Yes or no? Right? Okay. Now third, last point is that what is the camel case, right? So how what is camel case means like now suppose if I'm trying to write for the same name, let me write last name LAST underscore. So in the camel case, when you're trying to use the second alphabet is equal to, and I'm trying to write Smith, SMITH. So in the when you're trying to define a variable, right? When the second word you're using and the first alphabet is capital, that is called as a camel case. This is called as a camel case. Camel. When you're going to use this alphabet, when you're trying to use two words to define a variable, and when the first character or the first letter of the second name is capital, that is called as a camel case. That is called as a camel case. Got it? Clear? Now second is Pascal case. PASCAL Pascal case. Can anyone tell me how do we write a Pascal case? Pascal case. So this is what how you write a Pascal case. The first character of every word, first character of every word is what? Is capital. Like look at this. First character of all the words is capital. This is called as a Pascal case. And third one is nothing but a snake case. Snake case. What is snake case? Snake means is all the characters are small. All the alphabets are small. This is called a snake case. So there are three cases: camel case, Pascal case, and snake case. In the camel case, the second word, first character of the second word is only capital. In the Pascal case, first character of all the words are capital. And in the snake case, all the characters in the word are small. Clear? So what is the camel case? What is partial case? And what is snake case? So once again, so what is variable? Variables are used to have containers to storing the variable. Whenever you try to assign a variable to the value to a variable, so the address of a variable is being created, value is being created, not of the variable. And you can also store multiple variables through using a multiple variables. See, this is what object reference. And the rules for the Python is that variable must start with a letter or an underscore character. A variable name cannot start with a number, right? A variable name can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscores. Variable names are case sensitive, that is means this date and this date is different. There are three techniques to write up multiple variables, that is camel case, pastel case, and snake case. And one more thing I would try to tell you over here, add one thing. So now suppose I'm using a variable called pouters, right? Or contactors, right? Contact us, right? So if I'm using a variable called contactor, right. So you look at this, it's already showing me an error. This showing me an error. What is this error? That means that when you're trying to define a variable, you cannot have a space between two variables. Now suppose you're using two variables, right? Contact and us. So you cannot have a space in between. You always need to use the underscore. Right. Either you cannot, you don't use any space between them, or you want to use a space between them, then use an underscore. Connect them with a breach. You cannot have a space between them. If you are going to use a space between them, see, Python is an intelligence nowadays. Software and environment are very smart that it already gives me a suggestion before I could run a code. It throws me an error by showing a red line underline that this there's something glitch in this line of a code. What is problem? The problem is that the syntax error, that context us cannot have a space between them when you're trying to use a programming language called Python. That is what, how do you feel it? Either you can remove the space or you can use an underscore. See now. Now if I run the context us, it will create an output. Clear till here? Yes or no? Is it clear for everyone?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. So you will understand what is variable, how do you define a variable? Okay. So one more topic before we could sign up for the day. Now I have shown you how to create, how to print the function. Right? Now there's one. How do we? Let's see how to concatenate two strings. Right. There's one more topic over here. So if I want to concatenate two strings, concatenate. What is the meaning of concatenate? Can anyone tell me what is the literal meaning of concatenate? Anyone? Psychic sir, Vishnu sir, what is the meaning of concatenate? A literal meaning of concatenate.
It's like addition of two things.
Yes, absolutely correct. You're perfectly 100% right, man. So now if I want to add two different things, now suppose it is A is equal to hello, right? Hello. B it stands for world. P is equals to what? Now suppose if I want to add this hello world, what I do is that by using a symbol called plus. When I try to write now this print, so what it will generate me an output is hello world. So what is concatenate? Concatenate means adding two different operands. This is one operand and this is one operand. So and this is trying to add by an operator called as plus. So plus is an operator and this is a left operand. Operand means the things that you're trying to add or whatever operations you're trying to do. This is an operator. Whichever the operations you're trying to do within with the operator, that those two things are called an operand. This is a left hand operand and this is a right hand operand. So look at the operands when I'm trying to add this left hand operand with the right hand operand. Now why is it called concatenate? I'll tell you. If I am trying to add two numbers, if I add two numbers, 20 plus 30, look at the operands. So operands are numbers. So when my operands are number, it creates an addition. What it does is that it creates an addition. So 20 plus 20 becomes 50. Here in this case, when the data type is number, you create an addition with the plus symbol. But when the two operands are string or text format, you do an concatenation. You do an concatenation. What is the concatenation? You're trying to add it. You're trying to add it. Right? I'm not trying to do sum of it. There's a difference between add and sum. Here, what I'm going to do is a sum. Why? Because the data type is different. I traverse them. Now, in the concatenation of string is that one thing I am to tell you. If I try to use one number, one string, what is I'm trying to do is that one I'm using number and one is string. See, why I have not written a string because already I have defined with a variable called as a. And I told you over here. Now, suppose if I want to use anything, right, at the beginning only, if I try to tell you that if I want to use 50 somewhere or 100 somewhere, I cannot write 50 and 100 everywhere. That is why we need to use a variable. Now, that is the answer to your question, which is why do you need a variable or something? This is the reason that I do not have to use that value again and again, right? But now it's being very much easy for me that during the runtime, no, this is a runtime. Why? Because this is a runtime. Because during that, what is the print? Print creates an output. Whatever you try to craft into it, it generates an output on the console screen. So you see, instead of writing hello, what I try to do is that I just try to use this variable. So no matter wherever I require, I don't have to type hello. I just use also this variable. Now, if I use 20 and I'll try to use A, it is not showing me an error. It is not showing me an error. But can anyone in the session tell me what will be the output of this line? This one, 20 plus A. What will be the output of this line? Tell me. It will be the output of this line. It will not add. It will not add. The reason because it will show us a type error. To show the type error. See, without looking at the error, I told you. What it is going to show type error. What is type error means? Look at this. Unsupported operand type plus int and string. Not to worry if you are not able to understand this line, I'll explain you in a simpler word. Type error means what? See, this type, and for the data type. If you look at this data type is number. This is numeric, and this is string, right? This is an integer, and this is a string. That is what it is trying to tell us. Integer and string. So you cannot unsupported operand type for plus int and string. That means what? See, look at this. This is an integer. It is trying to show this. See, here it is showing integer, left hand side. And the right hand side is showing as a string. That is what on the right hand side. So you cannot add or you cannot concatenate. See, this is what sum, and this is called as add. So neither the print function is able to understand, or neither this plus symbol is able to understand. Either I need to add or I need to sum. Why? Because these data types are different. So this is integer and this is string. You cannot concatenate or you cannot add a different data type. Either the data type has to be text, that is string, if you want to concatenate, or if either the data has to be integer if you want to do a sum of it. You cannot use two different data types to perform addition or you're trying to concatenate. Getting my point. So if you want to concatenate two strings, the two operands has to be string data type. If you want to do a sum of the two data types, the two data types has to be number. But one is integer and another is string, and you're trying to forcefully do some kind of an operation, it will never happen. It will throw an error. Type error. Got my point? So you cannot concatenate or you cannot add two different data types. It will show an error. That is the type error. That whatever the type it will be, right? When in this our case, one is integer and second one is string. So that is what he has shown an output that it is a type error. Clear? Understood? What I was trying to tell you from the concatenation of the string that you cannot add two different data types. Here, till here, yes or no? Last thing of the session, as I told you over here, right? Look at this. This thing. No one did notice. If I try to assign multiple variables, right? If I am trying to assign multiple variables with multiple values, how do you do that? In the same way, suppose I use a variable called x instead of a, b cell go with a different variable called x, y, z. Here, what you can do is that you can assign different values 10, 20, and 30. Now, try to run, if I try to run, now look at the output. What will be the output? If I try to run x, what will the output be? It will be 10. If I try to run y, what will be the output? It will be 20. And if I try to run a z, what will be the output? Output will be 30. So instead here already are above the beginning of the session, what we did is that we try to assign single values, right? With the A we assign B with 50, with the B assign 100. Here also we try to assign single values, right? For the first time we assign Alex, for the second we have try to assign Bob. But if I want to assign multiple values with the multiple variables, so I can do in the such a way as well that I can pass on the multiple variables and then I can pass on the multiple values. Now, if I want to use, right, now instead of x, y, z, what I want to do is that I want to use now strings. Now, what I can do is that I can use the same thing. Now I'll use the uppercase A, comma B, comma C. And what I do is that instead of instead of number or integer, I use name. What I'll do is that I'll call here like phonetics. I'll go with the phonetics. For uh, can anyone tell me if I call this variable called A, what will be the output? If I call this variable called A, what will be the output? Alex. Right? The output will be Alex. Now if I use variable B, what will be the output? It will be Bob. And if I use this variable called C, what will be the output? It will be Larry. Right. The same way, if I want to assign one value to the multiple variables, I can do the same thing. X is equal to y is equal to z. And if I want to assign one value to multiple variables, I can do the same thing in this way. I can pass x is equal to y is equal to z is equal to 100, and then run the code. So the output will be 100. See, you can do this thing and this way. X is equal to 100, y is equal to 100. You can also pass one value to the multiple variables. Clear? And always try to check that either this sheet is being saved or not. Okay, all changes saved. If not, you can go to this file and you can click on save. So it will just save once again. Clear? Till here, yes or no? Yes or no? Tell me, please, guys. I want the answer from your side. So till here, is everyone clear? So we're trying to learn, we try to learn variables in today's session and how do we concatenate two different data types and other similar data types. If you want to add two similar data types, one on the left open and the right open, how do you do that? If we are having the same data, we can concatenate or we can select. But if you are having two different data types, one is integer and one is string, you cannot do that. And also, how we can define a variable in multiple ways. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
What about the here? See, do not try to hop. I don't know how everyone has their own thought process, but always I try to learn or try to train and try to learn things in this way. But see, if you want to reach at the tip of the pyramid, it always starts from step one. You cannot go reach the tip of the pyramid. You have to start it from the foundation only. As if you have your foundation very strong, you can definitely build a very proper. You can do a very proper coding. Okay. All right. So let's stop for the day. Okay. I hope everyone is able to understand. Okay. Now I'll also try to upload this Google Sheet on Drive by taking, and I'll ask the organization, this sheet, to provide you the access as well. So what we'll do is this, you can also have the access to this Google Sheet. Right? Sorry, this is Collab Sheet. This is not Google Sheet, Collab Sheet, so that you can use it for your reference as well. Okay. Okay. So let's stop for the day and we will meet tomorrow. Okay. Meanwhile, go through this today's session because tomorrow when we are going, it's a day by day no, improvisation. We are going to move ahead and everything is in a chain. So you think that if this is important, that is not important, that is not going to happen. It's a hierarchy. Right? Whatever has been taught on day one, it's going to be improved on day two, day three, day three, day four, day seven, day eight, and similarly till day n. Okay, so everything is interrelated. Okay, All right. So let's stop over here and we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you so much and have a good time ahead. Bye bye.